Okay, here we are, 91.7 WLFR Pomona, Strange Ways Radio, and this will be part of the Jersey Rock Block. Having our friends return, the Red Desert Motel, Tim and Tony. How you guys doing?
Matthew, it's great to be back on Lake Fred Radio. Thanks for having us. We're glad you're back on the air. We're glad to be back making music, playing some shows, and definitely glad to be back here on Lake Fred Radio.
That is awesome. Thank you very much for making the time. I know this has been a crazy year and a half with the COVID quarantine and all. We're still not able to have guests inside the studio yet, but for the past few months, I've been doing things on Zoom, and it's been working out very, very well, actually. Yeah. Okay. How have you guys managed in the last year?
I'll let Tony tackle that one because you mentioned Zoom, and I'm sure he'll want to talk about some of the things we've done, via Zoom over the past year or so.
Yeah, we've been making out pretty well. Been really lucky to have, we've played a few socially distanced gigs, had some radio airplay. We've been continuing to rehearse and record and write, and it's been kind of a blessing in disguise, because when the opportunity to play live was taken away, it kind of forced us to look at other avenues, like some of the live streams that we did. Something we kind of attempted but didn't, kind of fell off a little bit. But no, overall it's been, there's nothing like playing in front of a live audience, but there are definitely other ways via the interwebs to connect with people and, continue to do what we do.
We did some artist-centric live streams. I hope we can do some more. Right now, we're really getting ready to get back out and play, so that's kind of taking precedence, that and writing new material. But especially in the beginning of the pandemic, we did, and this was really Tony's idea, to do artist-centric live streams. We did Neil Young, we did Sam Cooke, we did REM. Who am I missing, Tony? There's a couple more that we did.
Yeah, I feel like those are the highlights. There was the
Wilco. But that was good, Matthew, because that helped us add some songs to our repertoire that we might not have thought about otherwise. We had to learn those songs for the live stream. So some of the things we added from the live streams, we have since added to our, as far as covers go, added to our repertoire. So that was productive for us for a couple of reasons. And a couple of the live streams, we raised some money for charity as well. So that was, that was good to be able to do something good in the middle of all this. Felt really good.
Yes, that is fantastic. Especially since you're mentioning expanding your repertoire now. For any newer listeners who may not be as familiar with Red Desert Motel yet, you perform in the Americana style vein mostly. But I know that you are influenced also by a lot of rock and roll also. I was just listening to our previous show where I had you on, okay, and you did a great Clash cover, okay, in that style. It was great,
That's a live favorite, no doubt.
Yeah. So, okay. Hey, okay, so how has this been in in folding in songs from other genres into the style that you play?
Well, I would say, you know, when people ask, and we get this question all the time, people who may not know our music, I mention I'm in a band, and they'll say, "Oh, what do you sound like, or what do you play?" And I always say Johnny Cash. It's a very sort of thumbnail sketch or simplistic way of putting it, but I always say Johnny Cash meets the Clash, and I do think that you know does sort of describe what we do. We call ourselves cowpunk. I don't know how punk we actually are, but definitely the music reflects my influences, Tony's influences, and I think Tony's used the phrase Venn diagram before to describe sort of, sorry, Tony, if I'm stealing your quote when you talk in a second, but sort of where the influences meet, I think has definitely influenced our original sound and incorporating, like we're doing a cover of the replacement song Left of the Dial. We do it we're only a two piece, so obviously we do it very differently, but you know, that's a big influence for me. And that's something that Tony was very open to doing, and I think it's a really cool, interesting version, and we're looking forward to playing it for you, Matthew. You know that song's about college radio and about DJs like you who are out there doing what they do. So we look forward to dedicating that song to you at a show. But I'll let Tony.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'll let Tony talk about the influences too.
Well, it is, you know, it can be hard to describe. It would almost be easier if we were a punk band or a rock band or a country band. You know, all those things do kind of overlap, and we've got I also think we've got a lot of influences that maybe you don't directly hear in the music. As far as me as a singer, I'm as much influenced by Frank Sinatra as I am by Johnny Cash. And there are also lots of different styles of music that I appreciate, that you know, if you look at the hodgepodge of my iTunes playlists and whatnot, it was very, you know, I'll never, I don't think ever forget when Tim and I first started playing together, and we were looking for covers, you know, the songs that we both knew, just trying not to sound like, because I knew that he knew music much better than I did. But again, like the list goes on, and not everything, there's a lot of stuff that probably won't wind up in a Red Desert Motel set, but there are songs that we play during practice. There's songs that I play on my own that it all kind of influences or informs the music that we play. And I really think recording Rerun was significant because it was the first time, well, not the first time, but I think more and more we are starting to sound like us and figure out, you know, really what that means. Whereas, you know, it's before we're walking that fine line between imitation and homage, if you will. And there's nothing wrong with being influenced by or influenced by your influences, but
Sure.
you don't, obviously, you know, you don't want to downright copy somebody. So we're definitely, we're coming along.
Fantastic. Okay. Hey, speaking of Rerun, that is your brand new single that is on your Bandcamp, correct?
Yes, it'll be on all streaming services with probably this week. We're just waiting for them to upload everything. But as of right now, it's available on Bandcamp.
Fantastic. I was just listening to it also. Great job on it, guys.
Thank
Hey,
you.
you are very welcome. I will definitely be playing that along. Okay, along with this interview. excuse me. He, he, okay, is that a single from a forthcoming album? Are you working on something else or what?
Well,
Maybe.
right now our plan is to just keep recording songs, singles, and then once we get Keep It Quick, which was the last song we released back in late 2020. We're going to take, that was the beginning of sort of recording singles, trying to release one a month. We're a little we're a little off schedule, but the goal is one a month or so. And then when we get 10 or 12, to put them on a CD, maybe even, you know, cut some vinyl, but definitely a CD with some additional tracks that we haven't released, because, you know, we really have been writing a lot. So we have a lot of material. There's some things even from the beginning of the band that didn't make it onto the EP that we released in 2019. So we have you know, quite a bit of stuff that we want to get out. The goal is to just keep releasing singles and then eventually put it on a record with a couple of unreleased tracks.
Very good, very good. Okay, tell us a little bit more about the new single then, about the writing and the recording of it.
Okay, well, I'll do the writing part, and Tony can tackle the recording part, since he's our mixer, our engineer, our producer. And he'll talk
all together. Wonderful.
I believe he's in our studio. Are you in our studio right now, Tony?
I'm in the studio right now. How cliche is that?
We call it Roosevelt Studios to make it sound fancy, but it's really Tony's basement. But he lives on a street called Roosevelt, so we refer to it as Roosevelt Studios to make it sound fancy. But anyway, to your question about the writing, so the really interesting thing about Rerun is I wrote this song for a previous band that I was in before I had met Tony. I would say 2016, thereabouts. And we needed a song that kind of was soulful. The singer in the band was a female singer who kind of sounded like Alabama Shakes, Stax, those kinds of things. So we really just needed a song that was in that kind of vein. So the original song was in 3/4 time. It was a different chord progression, roughly the same lyrics. We added one verse later on, but really the core of the lyrics are the same. After I left that band, I took the song with me. And when Tony and I got together, I remember it was very early on. It was right here in this music room our rehearsal space where I am now. I remember saying to Tony, hey, I have this song. I think the lyrics are pretty good. I don't think it's going to work the way, as a two-piece, it's not going to work. Because that band was a full 4 or 5-piece band, you know, with an electric guitarist who could do that Staxy kind of guitar playing. And that kind of thing really won't work with a 2-piece acoustic band. So I said to Tony, I said, let's try this. We tried it in 3/4 time, and it sounded too much like Goo Goo Dolls, that song name. And I said, all right, that's not going to work. So we were messing around with it. I said, you know what, let's just ditch it. And Tony said, no, let's keep trying it. Let's mess with it a little bit. And then he started playing that progression, which is the one that you hear now in the final recorded version. And then I added that bass line, and then we were kind of off and running. And that song has been in our set for a long time. I think for a while, it was at the bottom of the set, and the more we played it, the more we started to like it, or grow attached to it, I guess is a better phrase, and started moving further up in the set. And I really think I'm really happy with the final product of recording, because I agree with Tony that it's really a reflection of the first recording we've captured that I think is really a true reflection of the Red Desert Motel sound. Not that any of our previous recordings are bad per se, but I really think that this captures what we're about in terms of our sound and of our approach. Maybe a little poppier than what we normally do, but I definitely think that I guess the moral of the story is don't ever throw anything away, and don't give up on a song. So Tony can talk a little bit about the recording.
Okay.
Yeah, and part of that came, it works well as an acoustic song, in our live set. There's definitely a different dimension that came out in the studio as I was, messing around with it. And it's, gosh, I don't know. I don't know that we will ever experiment with electronica. I don't know.
We're gonna need to talk about that.
but there's
Oh, hold on.
you know, there's so much
I have an idea. Okay. As a side project. Okay. RDM. That's all you're called. RDM. It's your electronica side.
RDM does EDM.
Yeah, right.
RDM does EDM. right after we go through our polka phase.
That's right. They're suited for that.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
we're experimenting. We're trying to figure out what works. We're trying to figure out finding a happy medium between you know, I don't want to do something in the studio that's like so intricate and so layered that we can't reproduce it in a live setting, because it is still ultimately, you know, just the two of us. But I definitely think there are different directions that we might go in, and different risks that we're willing to take. And I think the song is the most important thing. It's not, what am I trying to say? You know, the question to me is always, does it work for the song? Whether that's how I'm treating the vocals, or, you know, just like how the whole thing comes together. But it was, you know, it's definitely, I'm really lucky to have the recording space that I have at the house, and, you know, gives us the leeway to, you know, to experiment with some stuff. And there's probably some stuff from the EP that we're going to resurrect, or, you know, kind of rework. We've got new stuff in the works, and what you call it? Yeah, it's just really interesting to see how it evolves.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So, okay. Lyrically though, what is Rerun about?
I think that Rerun is about. Go ahead, Tony.
No, well, you wrote it. I mean, if you want.
Well, I'll give my interpretation, then you can give yours. You're because you sing it. So, you know, I think that it's about regret. It's about, I don't think I realized this as I was writing it, but, you know, kind of having to have listened to the song 10,000 times as we were recording it. You know, I think it's about rumination. It's about kind of being stuck in a certain place and having trouble getting out of that place, which I think is definitely something I've experienced in my life. And I guess people can relate to. I think that the lyrics don't, I guess there's a story there. It's not quite as story centric as some of our other songs, but you know, I think there is a story there. But I would say that, you know, to boil it down to a simple answer, it's about regret and rumination.
Nice, nice.
Tony?
Sorry, froze up a little bit there.
Oh. Okay. Do you agree with what Tim said about the lyrics, or did you hear him?
I always thought it was about a guy joining the circus.
Oh, okay.
No,
all right.
That's the next song we're working on, Tony. Long song.
No,
all right.
I totally agree. And yeah, about that idea that like a relationship has run its course, and this guy's at a kind of a stepping off point. He's thinking about what's happened, and sitting in a motel somewhere at 3 a.m, trying to make sense of it all. And that's with a lot of our songs, you know, whether it's something you've gone through firsthand, or something that you can relate to, or at least internalize something that somebody else has gone through. And I like the idea of leaving things up to interpretation. You know, there's in all of our songs, I think there's a little bit of breathing room, that it's you know, if you think of more so with folk music that tells a very specific story, um, like Simple Twist of Fate by Bob Dylan. You know, like there's no room for speculation. You know exactly what that song's about, and it spells it out step by step. You know, there's a progression to it. Whereas with a song like Rerun, it's a little more open. Like, oh, it might be about this. It might be about something else. It's definitely not about a guy joining the circus. But, and that to me, you know, is really. And there are some of my playlist hasn't really changed since I was 16. Listening to a lot of those same songs, I think U2 is a great example because they're some of my favorite songs. I don't know what they're about, you know, or you read an article and you're like, well, I had no idea that's really what the inspiration for that song was. And that I think makes it even better when they're, you know, it can be open to interpretation, because that's what really makes it personal. Like, I know what the song means to me, even if that's not the way it was intended. But it's significant to me for a reason. And hopefully our music does the same thing.
Wonderful,
I do
wonderful.
think it's cool that the song can be sung by both. Like I told you, or mentioned earlier, you know, it was written for a female singer, and we did in that band play that song for a little while. I wish I had a recording of it so you could hear the differences.
What band would that be by the
No, we
way?
never even really had a name. It was so short-lived that we never really.
Okay.
We rehearsed for a couple months. We got some material together, but then it all kind of fell apart. So,
Okay.
But I think it's cool that Rerun could be sung by a male singer or a female singer, and you know, it's not gender specific, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and I like that about it. I like that.
Very good, very good. Okay. Hey, Rerun is your new featured single. We also know that you are part of another new project on some Pinkerton Records. It was right.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that as well?
So we're part of a compilation that was released last month. Let's see, I wrote the date down here so I wouldn't screw it up. And of course I can't find it now, but it was released last month. It's 30 songs. It's called a benefit for venues hurt by the pandemic. And it's 30 bands from across the country who all play in the roots rock, cowpunk, alternative country, Americana, y'all alternative, whatever you want to call it, however you want to label it. And I believe we're the only band from the East Coast to be on the compilation.
Oh, wow.
But there are some fantastic bands on there. The Shootouts, White Rose Motor Oil, a bunch of really good artists on there. So we're very proud to be on that particular compilation, which is digital only for now. I think there may be a physical release at some point, but it's a guy named Brandon Lewis, and the labels, it's an small independent label based in Ohio and Texas. I know those two states are nowhere near each other, but that's where Pinkerton is based. And he had put out a call for, you know, I guess in the winter, put out a call for, or maybe it was even late last year, put out a call for bands who were interested, and we were definitely interested in helping. So I thought Tony and I thought The Long Haul was the perfect song for that, you know, I guess metaphorically speaking. But all the proceeds from the compilation will benefit Save Our Stages campaign by the National Independent Venues Association, NEVA. They're raising money for a lot of the kinds of places that we play, the smaller venues. And Tony can talk about a little bit about that part of it.
Well, there are smaller venues and there are larger venues, and I don't. Sorry.
And we stick to the smaller usually.
I know there was a setup there, but yeah, no. It's a great cause. We were happy to help, and you know, it's another way for us to get heard as well. So obviously, it's, you know, reciprocal.
Oh yeah, very good. And and the venues are one of the big casualties of this this quarantine that we have gone through and are still going through in some places. Is I know up in Philadelphia, one of the recent ones that closed down for good is the Boot and Saddle.
Saddle, yeah.
Oh, I saw some great shows there.
Me too.
You
And
know, it's a damn shame.
That's a place we would have loved to have played, but we didn't get there before they closed. But which I agree, they put so much effort and time into making a great club there, and it really is tough. So that's why one of the reasons we wanted to do this benefit is to help, because these are the kind of venues that we play, you know, and that you know, we're the kind of band that plays in these kinds of places, and so we're the places that help us. You know, we wanted to see if we could help them back a little bit.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. I know that. Okay. That you can find it on PunkertonRecords.com,
Mm-hmm.
and the name. Oh, okay. And the actual name of it is Punkerton Records presents a benefit for venues hurt by the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Nice long title, but there it is. Okay. Hey, why don't you tell us about the song that you contributed?
The Long Haul is a song that we recorded for the EP in 2019, and it's a song about a trucker. It was my idea of what I tell people. I'm like an overgrown kid, and I'm like fascinated with trucks and trains. You know, on the highway, when I see an 18-wheeler going by, I'm usually like hypnotized, or I'll just stop and watch a train go by and kind of imagine where it's going. And a lot of times when I see an 18-wheeler on the Atlantic City Expressway or wherever, I'm kind of imagining what's going on in the driver's life, you know, and that's, I guess, weird, but that's the way that's where my mind goes. And so this song was kind of about a guy. Some people have interpreted, you know, Tony was talking earlier about how people interpreted songs, and some people have interpreted the song as just a guy who's toward the end of his life, and he's kind of looking back and realizing that he doesn't have much time left. That wasn't necessarily my intent when I wrote that song. I think it's cool that people can interpret it that way. But really it's a song about a trucker who's out on a really long drive and he's just trying to get home.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good.
And it seemed metaphorically to work with, because Brandon, the owner of Punkerton, he kind of gave us a choice of whatever song we wanted to contribute. And we felt that, you know, the Long Haul kind of fit with the idea of trying to get through what we've all been through in the past year or so.
Oh, very good, very good. You talking about truckers, though, you know, it just reminded me a little bit of my childhood and what I passed down to my nieces a few years back. I used to go on cross country trips with my father. While I call myself the Jersey Rocker, I was raised down here. I was actually born in Indiana,
Okay.
where my father was. As we'd be driving down I-70 going to Indiana. He told me how, you know, okay, I am going to have to describe it for the radio listeners. You don't see it as much these days, but you can still do it. If you see the truck driver, all right, and you, okay, you pull down your arm, okay,
Yeah.
to give him the signal to blow his horn. Sometimes he'll do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he as a kid, you know, that was always highlight of the trip, you know.
Mhm.
You know, I was taking my sister and and my nieces on the same trip a few years back. Told them about that. They tried that. Had with a hawker going by. He blared his horn. It scared them half to death too, but they were joyous. It was
works.
just fun
See?
stuff. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not-
man. It
it's
still works.
timeless.
It
That's
still
something that
works.
it's timeless. It's timeless.
Yes, yes. Okay, that is fantastic. Okay, all right. I would be remiss in in not asking about any future shows coming up. In fact, Stephen Weiss from North Step specifically wanted me to ask you about a show that you should be doing next month at the Blu-ray.
Yeah, well, it's actually at Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall.
Oh, you're
It's
right.
June
Tennessee Avenue
7
Beer
and 10.
Hall.
Yeah,
Sorry, Steve.
which is a great, one of the best places. It's actually co-owned by a very good friend of mine, Scott Cronick, who I've known for a long, long time. I love
Really,
Tennessee.
very good.
Yeah, Scott and I have known each other a very, very long time, and he's a good friend. First time we're playing there. It's 7 to 10 on Monday, June 21st. It's the first.
Monday. Oh.
Yeah, it's the first. So this is a series that North Step, Stevens production company, is starting, where they're going to do original bands. It's called Music Mondays, I believe, and they're going to do original bands on Mondays at Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall. We're the first. I'm not sure who else is on the bill yet, but I'm sure it'll be another really good local band. So we're very much looking forward to that. The last time we played Atlantic City actually was at Parade, and it was supposed to be the day of the St. Patrick's Day Parade last year, and we played Saturday, really good show, and then everything shut down that following Monday. So we're really looking forward to getting back to Atlantic City. So that's June 21st, Monday, 7 to 10.
That is great. It all comes full circle then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again.
Right. June 21st. Would that be for the summer solstice? Maybe then even.
I'm not sure if that's why he
Yeah.
picked the date or not, but I know that's when it's going to start, and hopefully it'll become a regular thing, because I think that there's a lot of really good original bands here in South Jersey. I'm sure you don't need me to.
Oh yes.
We
Yes.
get overshadowed by Philly a lot, and I think that is unfair, and it bugs me, because I do think we have so much really good homegrown talent here, and I'm glad that this is going to be another chance for bands to be seen and be heard. Original band.
Definitely. Okay. I'm on Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall, June 21st. I am looking forward to it. You know what? I am all vexed up myself right now. So, I might be able to finally make it out there too. I've been missing the live music, something awful also.
Yeah, and Tony
Yes.
can talk about how kind of excited we are to get back out and play. He mentioned that we've played a couple shows, but I'm sure he'd like to say a few words about how we're looking forward to getting back out.
Sure.
You have the most obvious setups. I love it.
But they work. That's all that matters.
So, having said that, let me talk a little bit about how excited we are to get back out and start playing live shows. No, we really are. We've got a couple of things locked in right now, and we're I'm sure just chomping at the bit, just like everybody, to get out there, but to be safe about it and not I don't want to do something that bad that it's gonna put anyone in harm's way.
Mhm.
But yeah, hopefully with people getting vaccinated, I got mine as well, and
Yes. All right. Hey, a perfect time for a PSA. Get your shots so that we can have live music again, people. Get your shots.
We're rolling into your town fully vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated.
Yes.
It's gonna get back to normal.
I hope so. I hope so. All right. So, all right. Okay. You mentioned you have a few things locked in. Are there any other shows you would like to announce?
So that particular weekend of the is a busy weekend for us. We've got some other things brewing, nothing sort of official yet, but the dates that are official are that Friday before we're playing something called Lot here in Woodbury, where I live in Gloucester County. It's called Lot 323. It's a pop-up. They've been doing it for a couple years. It's a pop-up community event where they have a beer garden, live music stage. It's a sort of a dedicated space. It's really cool. They took a vacant city-owned parking lot and turned it into a pop-up space with a dedicated stage, and it was canceled last year for obvious reasons. So we really missed it last year. We have played it for a couple of years. We're really looking forward to. So that would be June 9th, 18th. I guess it's the Friday before. Yep. And then the 19th, we're playing a private party in Morristown. That's going to be fun. We're playing on a half pipe, Matthew. I know you're punk. I know you're punk rock, but we're going to be playing on a half pipe in somebody's backyard.
Wow. Okay. Awesome, man. House show basically then. Okay. That's right. Good. Yeah.
Awesome. Older folks. It's not going to be a bunch of skate punks. It's going to be older folks. People who have to wear pads when they skate, you know?
Yeah. Oh man. And one thing that I never had the balance to be able to do, even as a kid, frankly, but cool.
I'm hoping we can get people skating behind us while we're playing. You know what I mean? Would that make for a great visual or what?
Oh yeah, and then look out, crash.
Then somebody crashes into Tony's guitar and it's all over.
It's all over.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right then. And you were on Bandcamp, Red Desert Motel. I know you're on Facebook also. Instagram also. Are you on Twitter?
No, we're not.
No, not on Twitter yet. Okay. All right. Okay. Have you got a website also, or is it just Bandcamp as a host?
We're just using Bandcamp as a host.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Great service there. So, right. So it's reddesertmotel.bandcamp.com, I think. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
All one very good.
Motel.bandcamp.com.
Fantastic. And always great having you guys on. Hope to see you next month at the Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall. Hopefully one day soon we can have you in our studio again. And I am looking forward to that day.
We are too. Thank you so much for having us, Matthew. We really appreciate it. It's great to be back. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone in Atlantic City next month.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We'll be getting to your music right away. And thank you again for making the time for this.
Thanks so
Matthew,
much.
Thank you so much for having us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Oh, here it is. They changed it.